lovely Christmas lights in England and it's bloody freezing, and suddenly realise it's your birthday. So, sending you fabulous, huge happy birthday message. Let me think of a song. We wish you a happy birthday. We wish you a happy birthday. We wish you a happy birthday and lots more to come. Mwah! Don't know where that just came from.
I'm trying to get in this, Gorak. I can't seem to do it. I don't know how
Hang on. Wait. You go in there now.
Right,
there you go.
okay.
There he is.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gorak. Happy birthday to you.
Woo!
Have a brilliant day, mate, in Oz. Hopefully see you one day soon.
Bye.
Right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Hi Gorak, happy birthday. I want to wish you all the great things come to your life. Send you much love. Have an awesome day. See you.
Hey Adam, this is Kanak here. Wish you a very happy birthday. May God bless you in abundance. I am so thankful that you are my friend, and I'm truly honored to have you as a friend, man. And you rock, buddy. You're the coolest of all, and you're my first friend. I still remember we met through Sunday Livestream Sunday through Ryan Roxie, and it's truly great and amazing, and you rock. Just stay rock and keep on living your rock and roll dream. And thank you so much for supporting our show, the VoiceIt Show, as well. So thanks a lot for everything, and keep on rocking. That's all. Have a great birthday and see ya. Thanks.
Happy birthday, Adam.
And that was your birthday present, Adam.
That's cool. Fucking
I hope you all like the intro, but we have Eric back there. What you think of that shit?
Ice, mate. It was ice.
Where's my ice, mate?
I should have kept my chocolate instead of eating it all before the show.
Well, happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday.
Happy
Cheers,
birthday,
dude.
And we got Princess Leia. And
Yeah.
who is this? Is this Ray?
This is Ray, yeah. Otherwise known as Inka, my daughter.
Hi.
Right.
How you doing?
How are you? It's Darth Gorak's birthday. It was on Friday, so he's having his birthday celebration. So do you want to say something? Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's my birthday month, so there you go. Till Christmas, but yeah.
Well, your birthday's more important than Christmas, Gorak.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Correct, man. Wait, someone else wants to say happy birthday. It's Kylie the koala.
Look at it. Kylie the koala.
Yes. And of course, Billy Goat, the Rune Army Goat, wants to say happy birthday.
I love that thing.
Goats scream like humans, and it's fucking terrifying. Sorry for my language, but damn.
Gorak's birthday. All right.
So
what a show! What a show! Gorak's birthday, the Australian episode, Star Wars episode. You have Eric13 on the show. You've got the lovely ladies here. I mean, this is an all-star episode.
This is an all-star episode. Plus, you recently released a single, so that's good too.
There it is. Nicely done.
Congrats.
Which is really good. It's a really good song. You channeled your inner Iggy Pop and David Bowie on this one.
Well, it is, of course, a cover of a song by the great Eurythmics. So I wasn't necessarily channeling Annie, but obviously getting lots of inspiration.
Lots of it. And it shows. It's beautiful. And your voice, man. Like, where does that come from?
Usually my mouth, but
I thought your finger.
yeah.
I thought your finger. Oh, did she leave? But we have an amazing Australia and Star Wars episode, which the lovely Australia, which is where Gorak is from.
So you can see Wollongong right there next to Sydney. That's where I am at.
Oh, Wollongong. Nice. There it is.
Wollongong.
Yeah. Good old Gong.
Good old Wollongong. So we do have a couple trivia questions to see if Eric and Noami can answer. You are disqualified, Gorak, because you probably know these answers.
Yeah.
So what is the capital of Australia? A lot of people get this wrong.
Canberra.
Yep, correct. A lot of I've actually, it's right there. Actually, it's not where the arrow's at. It's where the red thing's at.
He's pointing to the ocean there.
I know, that is not the capital. I asked my parents that and quite a few other people, and they had no idea. they thought like Sydney. They thought, I'm like, yeah.
I'll admit, I only knew when we landed in the Canberra airport is when I learned that.
Well, I'd never even like thought of that to be a capital because you hear of other places in Australia before you hear that.
They could have picked Wollongong, but no.
But no, it is now that you live there, Greg. It is now that you live there.
That's the rock and roll capital, Wollongong.
Yeah, man.
The national animals is an easy one, but can you guess both of them? They have two of them.
There's two.
Yes, there is two national animals. Can you guess?
The great white shark and a croc.
Incorrect. Noami had one of them right. You had none of them right.
The koala and the kangaroo.
Kangaroo is right. Can you guess the other one?
It's not koala? Ooh.
No, it's not.
Is it the wallaby?
Nope.
Wombat. I'm just guessing.
Do you know, Greg? You live there.
A dingo. A dingo ate my Gorak.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just laughing at these answers.
How many animals are left? That's it, right?
There's a shit ton. Australia has all the animals.
They have more animals than that. I thought that was 5 animals. That's all you get.
No. Greg's over there dying. No.
So wait, it's not the wallaby.
Kangaroo and an emu.
An emu?
Yeah, that kangaroo looks so jacked in that picture.
I had to find the most Australian photo, so I found one of a kangaroo fighting an emu.
Hey, look at his back. Look at those traps.
Is that the famous muscle kangaroo? What was his name?
Kangaroo.
Don't say Skippy.
No, there's a famous kangaroo that's known for being muscle bound. He recently passed away, though.
Really?
I had no idea. I thought you were talking about
He's
kangaroo.
such a famous kangaroo that I've forgotten his name.
While you're looking for that, let's see if you can guess this. How many time zones does Australia have?
Ooh. Good one.
He's over here Googling it. Look at him.
No, I'm not. I'm looking up the name of the muscle kangaroo. Roger. Roger is the muscle-bound kangaroo.
Roger the black kangaroo.
Time zones. I think there are 3 time zones in Australia.
Yeah, I'll go with 3 as well.
You guys are 100% correct. And this kangaroo is freaking terrifying.
Yeah, Roger the kangaroo is he's well known in animal lover circles.
They should make a movie of him and Godzilla and have a fight.
Oh my god, that's a good idea.
Roger would win.
Whoa.
Or Roger and Mel Gibson.
Yes. Yeah. Roger versus Mel Gibson.
Yeah, Roger will win.
So, what do you guys, if you're able to guess this, what are the national colors of Australia? There are 2.
Green and yellow.
What'd you say, Noami?
Yellow.
You guys are close with yellow.
Gold.
Yes.
It's the Gold Coast.
It's green and gold down under. You guys probably might be able to guess this, since Eric thought there's only 5 animals in Australia. Maybe not. What is the national flower of Australia?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I don't know if I know. I'm gonna have to go with the tulip.
Do you guys even have tulips in Australia?
The famous Australian tulip.
Would you like?
They're everywhere, mate. You know, it's interesting is I actually did tour the botanical gardens in Sydney. It was an amazing place, really stunningly beautiful. And we had a day off down there, and I strolled about the flowers on the waterfront, looking at the Opera House, and what a great place. But I can't remember what the official flower was.
Do you know, Noami?
I don't know much about the flowers in Australia at all. Some
Australia.
orchid, I don't know.
Then how did you even get on this show?
I've never been to Australia.
Gorak,
but this is good for you, Eric, because like when you come back down to Australia with Combi Crisis or whatever, you can educate them now.
Yeah. Be like, I'm going to go
so all my stage banter coming together right here.
Yeah.
Gorak, do you want to tell them what the national flower is?
Go ahead.
Do you know?
No, I don't. I should know.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. The golden wattle.
Oh, but of course it is the golden wattle. I think that was the 7th Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Golden Waddle.
That's probably, that could be like the next Harry Potter movie.
Remember Hermione breathed in the spores of the Golden Waddle, and Harry had to go on an adventure. Harry Potter and the Golden Waddle.
Golden Waddle.
You're fucking killing me over here. Stop that.
Yeah. Dude, but Voldemort had put a spell over all the waddles, and the buds hadn't popped yet, and Hermione, her life was in danger, and Harry was like, hold on a minute, hold on, Hermione.
Why are you in music and not making movies? That's a brilliant
I want
movie.
to know what happens next in this.
Harry Potter, the boy wizard.
Harry Potter and the Golden Waddle. Isn't the Golden Waddle the thing that they try to catch when they're on the broom?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes.
What's that?
They're playing Quidditch.
Do you guys happen to know we know it as Australia, but it actually has a full name. Do you know what the full name of Australia is?
Is it Mr. Leonard G. Australia III, Esquire?
Yes, that is correct.
You know what the G stands for, right? You know what the G stands for.
Good day.
Exactly, yes. Leonard, good day, Australia.
What?
Gorak. Oh, man.
Well, okay, Noami, do you have an answer that could top that? Because I'm just going to say, fuck, that's right.
No, I haven't got an answer that can top that at all.
It is actually, sorry to disappoint you guys, but Australian government changed its name immediately. Commonwealth of Australia.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh.
You bastards.
It's like the casual name, you know. When you're like, "Excuse me, Leonard G. Australia," it's like, just call me Commonwealth.
Is that when he got rich? Just call me Commonwealth. Do you guys know
C-dubs.
that?
If you're real close with them, you call them C-dubs, but
C-dubs.
that's just for his mates. That's just for his mates from school.
We need to get shirts made that has the picture of Australia with like a hat on and it has that name.
C-dubs at the back.
C-dubs. You can call
Leonard
me
G.
Commonwealth.
Yeah.
If music ever leads you astray, you can do some comedy.
So two crocs walk into a bar.
Were they on somebody's feet?
Yeah. Wait till you hear my Australian Christmas song, but we'll save that for now.
Okay, we will save that.
Are we still in the quiz here?
Yeah, I'm just coming up with more questions because I have a bunch of facts here.
I'm just laughing at this. This is great. Eric, I'm really surprised with you. Naomi, keep it up.
Do you guys happen to know when Australia Day occurs? Their national holiday.
Is it sometime in July?
Eric?
It's July 4th. Isn't that what that Tom Cruise movie is about? He's an Australian immigrant. He's an Australian immigrant. And that's how he, can get in. He says, "But I'm born on the 4th of July, mate."
That's not. You have very good points and you're very believable, but that's not true.
I could have swore that was it. I watched the trail. I only watched the trailer, but that's the gist that I got.
That's why you don't just watch trailers. No.
You guys are both wrong. And it'd be good if it was like Australia Day was celebrating July 4th.
So we can all celebrate our days.
I want to see if Gorak hasn't gotten any Australia questions right yet. I want to see. All right, we're putting him on the spot. Do you know when it is?
Yeah, it's January 26th.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
And what does that signify? That was the day of the Great Kangaroo Revolt, right?
we can make it as that, yeah.
No,
it's just like a celebration to the country and stuff, and people get together, have parties, get drunk, and act like idiots.
Oh, so it's
Friday night.
January 26th is the day
and people like to run around with the flag around their necks as a cape. I'm like, dude, why?
That is crazy.
It's crazy here.
So I got a true or false question for you guys. When it comes to Australian sports, their attire, do they wear helmets and knee pads as a required part of their uniform? True or false?
False.
Well, it depends which sport. If you're talking about cricket, yes. Rugby, no, which makes no sense. It really should be the other way around.
It'd be cool if rugby players wore knee pads and helmets. It'd be like a different version of the NFL.
It was a bit of a trick question, and Eric did get it right. But the one that really shocked me, because I'm not that familiar with Australian sports, because I don't really keep up with sports to begin with. Australian football, them crazy bastards, wear shorts. And no helmet.
So actually, speaking of, I have a special attire that I put on, and since we're in the sporting section, I guess now would be the proper time to share with you guys. In honor of the Australian episode, well, one, I'm wearing my Frankie's Pizza, but I also happen to be wearing my Australian national team rugby shorts right here.
That actually goes well with the jacket.
Did you know that the name of the national team is actually the Wallabies? But yeah, look at it. So I was heavily recruited out of high school, come to Australia.
Yeah, just work it. Can you do that one more time? Get some music.
He does smiling and silence across the set. Everyone's like this.
Yeah.
I'm too sexy.
Could you guys be less responsive? Let's do it again and see if you can be any less responsive than last time. You're like,
okay, let's do this. Hold on. I'm too sexy for my love. Too sexy for my love. Love's going to leave me. Frankie's Pizza, since we're on this topic, they're shutting down. Well, they shut down and they're getting torn down. Wait,
it's shut down now?
No, it's still open.
I misunderstood.
One of my friends' bands played a gig on Friday. They're called Simon's Chainsaw. They're actually pretty good. They're just like a classic rock band, and they released a new single not long ago. I know they're demolishing it. I think in a couple of months' time, or something in the new year.
Now is it opening somewhere new?
I'm not 100% sure, because that was like the spot there.
Yeah.
Like,
when I heard the
a
news,
lot of people go there. Obviously you've been there, Eric, like once or so. Yeah. It's such a great place, and they got the pinball machines there. Everything, the vibe, everything.
No, it was a great rock and roll club, live music. I did some karaoke. The pizza's good. It's a hot spot. I really loved it there. We had a couple days there in town, so we went there every night.
Yeah, and like it's like one of the early nightclubs or something like that. That's like open till like 4 a.m. or whatever it is.
I'll admit they started off strong when we walked in the door. They had a hostess come and meet us and give us like 20 drink tickets right off the top. She goes, "We don't want you guys paying for a drink, whatever you want, whatever you need." I said, "I think I like this place." I said, "Well, how about we start with a pizza and a round of beers?" She said, "No problem."
Yeah.
They had my heart since then.
Yeah.
Where do I sign
their pizza is amazing. So was the I don't drink anymore, but like when I used to drink, like that beer over there was so good.
I've never had Australian beer. Never even knew Australia had the.
You never had a Foster's night?
Well, American beer tastes to me.
Not a VB.
So I'm not a big fan of American beer. I like foreign beer, but I don't like American beer.
Like what? What's your foreign beer of choice?
Well, it depends, because I usually go for like Scottish ales. Whatever's on tap, Scottish or Irish, sometimes German, but like I'm not a big drinker anyway to begin with. So if I am drinking, it's just whatever they have on tap.
I'm not aware of the large Scottish ale selection here in the States.
Well, in the States, if you're out towards west, there is a Scottish ale called I think Twisted Kilt or something like that, something Kilt, and it's really good. It's really good. Yeah, it makes sense. That's when you don't.
But have you ever had haggis? That's the real question.
I don't think so.
Now, Noami, tell me where you are geographically again.
I'm in Germany, but I'm from the UK.
And what part?
The north of England, Huddersfield.
Okay. How about you?
It's an hour away from Manchester.
You ever had haggis?
Yeah, I have when I went to Scotland.
What'd you think?
Yeah, it was all right. I don't eat meat anymore at the moment.
Isn't haggis when they take because I just now thought of what it is. Isn't it when they take the sheep's intestines and shit and put it inside of its stomach lining and cook it?
Yeah, it's basically kind of like a glorified sausage, but yes, inside the stomach. It's pretty nasty.
Oh, wow.
I've heard that's pretty freaking gnarly.
You know, I have Scottish ancestry for one, so I visited Scotland. Scotland's an awesome place, great people, but haggis is nasty. Sorry.
Well,
there's really no two ways about it.
That's not as bad as a specific cheese. I forget the name of it. But this cheese you have to put in a Ziploc bag before eating it in order to get the maggots out of it.
Oh no.
I believe that's
Yeah.
called Famunda cheese.
Famunda. If you have maggots, you might want to see a doctor. So in Australia, since you've been there, you probably know this answer. McDonald's goes under a different name. What is that name?
Oh, I don't know. Whack Arnold's? No, wait. That's
That's in your porn history, Eric. That's not what McDonald's is called.
I accept that one.
No, isn't that Coming to America? What's the name of it?
Yeah, it is. Naomi, do you know?
Is it Macca's?
Yes, it is not Whack Donald. It is Macca's.
That's Burger King.
Because on
Oh, Paul McCartney owns it. I did not know that. You know, ever since Michael Jackson bought out his publishing, he had to, diversify.
Oh, we're going to the Macca's. Okay, McDonald's isn't the only one that has a different name over there. What's another fast food joint? And bonus points if you can guess the name of it in Australia. It's another big one. It's as big as McDonald's.
As big as McDonald's. Burger King? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
What do they call it? I don't know.
Come on, give me an answer. You've been
The Royale with cheese. Oh, wait, no, that's...
Burger Queen? I don't know.
They call it Dairy Queen over there.
Burger Queen.
Oh, no.
Burger Queen.
This is the most Australian name I've ever heard.
Oh, Wally's.
Hungry Jack.
Hungry Jacks.
Yeah, they are actually called Hungry Jacks because Burger King was going to open up in Australia a bunch of chains, I believe in the 60s. And when they went over there, there was one restaurant by the name of Burger King that had the copyright. So Burger King had to change their name over there to Hungry Jacks, and by the time that store closed and the copyright was up, it's too late. Everybody knows them as Hungry Jacks.
Now, have you been to Australia before, Mike?
No, I just found these facts online, and
He's too afraid to come down here because he heard about all these animals and stuff that can kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Killer koalas, man. Killer koalas. Now, wait a minute. I stay up late all night watching the Star Wars. I watched all 11 movies in succession, preparing. And here we are. Had I known, I would have been watching Crocodile Dundee if I had known we were going to spend so much time talking about Australia.
We are going to be tackling Star Wars in a few more minutes because that is all the questions I have and all the trivia questions. If there's anything you'd like to discuss about Australia, speak now or forever hold your peace, because we have a very long section of Star Wars. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about Australia? Gorak, you have any facts? Anything?
I'm surprised if we got it.
You guys are good.
All right, Australia. Oh, wait, one last thing about Australia. We have one other character that wants to say hello. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is Peter Garrett, the transgender kangaroo, not to be confused with Peter Garrett, the singer of Midnight Oil. How you doing there, Peter? Ace, mate. Love the show, mate. Love it. It's great. So much great trivia. Ace. Thank you, Peter Garrett. Peter Garrett, the transgender kangaroo.
Is this like...
Hey, it's like good service to the Ace, fucking Ace.
Ace, mate. It's Ace.
So was that like post-op or pre-op?
This is him. You know, he doesn't like to get into details. She, he, it.
Okay.
No, we. It's
we.
a preferred pronoun.
Okay.
Actually, no. It's he, him. Peter Garrett, the transgender kangaroo. He's a lovely chap, right? What do you think, Peter? Oh, it's Ace. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now that we're out of the Australian section of the show, we are going to now be tackling Star Wars. But before we do that, I believe Eric has an Australian song he wanted to perform.
You know, I got a couple here. I thought I would stop.
Oh, you done a couple.
Yeah, so many Australian songs. I could sing Australian songs all day. And I'm not just talking AC/DC, but
Airborne.
Watch me wallabies feed, mate. Watch me wallabies feed. Oh, wait, wrong one. That's Time of Kangaroo Down. It's Christmas in the outback once again. Me and Wally, Bruce and Baz and all our friends. Backyard cricket with me, mum and dad, and a Bobby just for fun. It's Christmas in the warm Australian sun. This is a Christmas song for Australia. All the great white sharks around hang their stockings, and the crocs put all the presents neath the tree. It's just me and my koala and my kangaroo. It's Christmas in the outback, me and you and Gorak. In Australia, of course, we all love Santa, but he's not the most important bloke in the bunch. Peter Garrett, Jimmy Barnes, and darling Kylie Minogue are the ones to whom we toast our Christmas punch. And the ghosts of Malcolm Young and Steve Irwin come to say g'day, g'day, and how you going? On a sleigh of kangaroos with Heath Ledger at the reins and Michael Hutchins singing Christmas songs to you. Okay, sing along, everybody at home. Here we go. It's Christmas in the outback once again. Me and Wally, Bruce and Baz and all our friends. Backyard cricket with me, mum and dad, and a Bobby just for fun. It's Christmas in the warm Australian sun. Put some Vegemite in my stocking, tell me hide when I'm dead. It's Christmas in the outback. It's Christmas in the outback. Christmas in the outback once again.
Woo!
All right.
Brilliant.
That's a brilliant song. Can we find that?
You got to know your Australia. But I didn't know Heath Ledger was from Perth. Who knew? Who knew?
Oh, he was?
Yeah, just like same as Bon Scott.
Oh, nice. I had no idea Heath was even Australian.
Yeah.
If he would have used his accent in Dark Knight, that would have made that movie funnier.
Yeah, we would have been like, why so serious, mate?
He got the
Batman, g'day, Batman. Welcome to your nightmare, right? You want to be here, mate?
He got the scars from fighting a kangaroo. What we're going to do for Star Wars, because I'm not sure how much time you have, Eric, but we're going to start with the original trilogy. We're going to discuss the first movie that was released, which was number 4. For those that aren't Star Wars fans, buckle up. We're going to start with episode 4, New Hope, go from there, and then if we have time, we'll go into the prequel trilogy, and then if we have time, we'll go into the last trilogy. We're not going to cover the shows this episode. We ain't got time.
It is funny. I got to tell you, there's no joke. So obviously, seen all the movies, read all the books, the shows, long-time fan of Star Wars. But I wasn't planning on, sorry, Billy, much review. And then, as if it were fate, American television channel, TNT, has been running a Star Wars marathon all weekend. I thought it was, it was karma saying, Eric, you must review the films. It is your destiny.
That was a terrifyingly good impersonation, I must say.
Don't make me destroy you. So I did, but what was funny is the order, they didn't run them in any order that made sense. It went from Last Jedi to Return of the Jedi to Rise of Skywalker to Empire Strikes Back. It like made no sense. So around 4 a.m, they did it. It seemed like semi-backwards. It was Rise of Skywalker followed by Last Jedi, right in a row.
That is really weird.
And then it reminded me, though, what I did. I said, I feel like you were going to ask me what's the best. So I reviewed my rankings. And actually, like, totally randomly, like 3 years ago, I made my Star Wars movie rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, The Mandalorian wasn't out, and the last 2 films hadn't even come out, Solo and Rise of Skywalker. So I only had a partial list then. So late last night, around 5 a.m, after I watched Rise of Skywalker, I reviewed all the films, and I came up with a new, comprehensive rankings of all the movies.
Would you like to give your rankings before we jump into this?
These aren't the rankings you're looking for. Yes.
These aren't the rankings I'm looking for.
I just had to preface that because it was just crazy that, I mean, not that it's so uncommon for the Star Wars films to be on television, but right before we have the big Star Wars show, it did seem a little strange, as if it were fated. So I reviewed, I don't know, I want to ask first, do we have purists in this group? Now, I'm guessing, Mike, you're a Star Wars buff by the fact that we're having. Gorak, Noami, are you guys Star Wars fans, or are you just along for the ride with us today?
I used to watch the Star Wars series when I was a lot younger, like the older series. Like, I couldn't really get into the newer stuff. Like, episode 1 was good, like the first one when that came out. And then second one, okay. And then I don't know, I just couldn't really get into it. I did watch the Han Solo movie, which I thought that was pretty good. Then one of my best mates trying to get me into like one of the latest ones that came out on Blu-ray or something before the new one came out to the theaters, and it was all right.
Okay.
But I have to catch the.
You haven't even seen them all? Oh my God, Mike, cut him out of the film. Cut him out right now.
Okay, let's do this.
Disconnect. You're out.
No, well, not the only one up there. Come on. Bye, Greg.
Now about you, Naomi. No pressure. No, Naomi. No pressure. But have you seen, studied, and put to memory all 11 films, really? But we'll let you go if you at least have the 9 major films memorized.
12.
No, I haven't got those all memorised. I used to watch the older ones when I was younger, the same as Adam did. And then I saw the episode 1 Phantom Menace at the cinema when it came out, and but I haven't seen the very latest one.
It's so good. Look, you need to watch it. I need one of those.
Okay. All right. So now that we've separated the professionals from the amateurs.
Yeah.
We have the professionals on this side. I have to correct you, though. You said 11 films. There has actually been 12.
And what? Let's go through it. Well, I have 12 in my rankings, but that's including The Mandalorian.
Are you including the Clone Wars film?
I'm not including that. I am not including the clone, any of the animated series.
Okay, makes sense. And there's also
Mandalorian. Now, admittedly, I'm including The Mandalorian, which is not a film at all. However, because it was such a major event in Star Wars universe, and frankly, a great show, I felt that needed to be in my rankings. So I'm not including any animated film, and this is totally separate from the books, which don't even get me started.
The books are not canon anymore, according to Disney, and we can get angry about that later.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed. All right, so back to the rankings. So for me, the 1 and 2, I'll tell you first that the 1, 2, and 3 in my rankings go to the original trilogy. It just can't be topped. But the top spot is a difficult one. And really, between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, there's a case to be made that Empire Strikes Back is maybe the best of all the Star Wars film. And I of course absolutely love this film. It's game changer, but I have to put the original at number one just because of the phenomenon it created. Oh, perfect, right on time. Thank you. The phenomenon, just how that opened up this world that's just so massive, so timeless. Look, here we are, December 13th, 2021, Gorak's birthday, doing a podcast ranking these films thanks to this first film. So with that, I got to put the original Star Wars at number one, followed by closely Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Not unlike, just as a little side note, this could be a whole nother episode, maybe this is our next episode, of all the great Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Of the many great. In my Arnold Schwarzenegger movie rankings, which I also have, the top spot is a very, very similar situation to Star Wars. Is T2 is just a movie, this was changed Hollywood, great film, maybe it's, but it's hard to put it above the original Terminator for the same reason that it just spawned a genre and was such a game changer and a monumental film, while maybe not being as great of action or technological advancement. I have to keep Terminator 1 and T2 1A. So just a little aside there. I know you were wondering about that.
You had me a little confused when you said Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't remember him being an Empire. Yeah.
Just had to throw that in because it happened. I came across this Instagram page, and it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger page, and they had this Instagram-wide Final Four bracket for the best Arnold movie, and it was really fun. Then they were doing all this thing, and T2 actually did win. And T2 won, beating the original Terminator as the best Arnold film of all time, which I can't complain about, but my personal ranking, I feel like Empire and Star Wars could go the same way. If you were to put in your personal rankings Empire above Star Wars, I couldn't fault you for it.
No, plus Empire had Yoda.
So I ask you, Mike, what's your top Star Wars film?
I would put Empire first, and then I would do.
Give him an inch. You give this guy an inch, he takes a mile.
Well, the thing is I admire Star Wars for what it was. That first movie was incredible, but very close. But I'd put Empire first. Okay,
fair enough. Then where do you go? So then I go with Return of the Jedi, just because while it's not my favorite, obviously, because it's third, but I got to put it above everything else. I got to put it above everything else, as far as, again, just being the original, just genre defining and continuing that original dream. But then it gets interesting after that, is where I think it's really open to interpretation and personal taste and stuff like that.
These next six, you might get hung for.
Okay, here we go. So let me ask, okay, well, wait, we didn't give you other guys a chance here. Having not seen them all, I think it's unfair, but do you have a favorite? If you had to pick a favorite of all of them, what would it be?
I think the very first one, episode 4, the oldest one. That's the best one for me.
Can't go wrong. Gorak?
Does the Han Solo movie count?
Yeah.
Because I really enjoy that one.
It was good.
I thought Solo was a good film. I agree. I thought that was a good film. And just for reference, that is 8th in my rankings. The Solo film is at number 8 in my personal ranking, despite liking it very much. After Solo, it goes all downhill.
You don't think any of the movies were good after Solo?
Well, not chronologically in my rankings. So okay. I'll tell you where I go after that. So Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi, top 3. Can't go wrong. Now, in my 4th spot, this is a difficult one. I actually have a tie because depending on I think The Mandalorian is an amazing show. It's highly entertaining. It's so creative. not going to do any spoilers, but as we discussed, you know, it reaches somewhere really cool. And in a way, it's unfair to put it in there. But again, I think it's just such a great, of any of the additional non-movie stuff, it's by far the best thing out there, with no disrespect to people that are really into the animated stuff and the cartoons and stuff like that, which is entertaining. But The Mandalorian is pretty good Hollywood production. You know, it's got the latest and greatest, and it really stands up. It
gave me goosebumps. That fucking show gave me goosebumps.
I mean, we talked offline without doing spoilers. Season 2 of The Mandalorian is just fucking awesome.
How do they go?
The whole show is great. It's that great. To me, it's, in fact, now I'm considering my rankings. So the other 2 films I have tied for 4. I think Rogue One was an incredible film. And the same way with Mandalorian, it's the first time they allowed Star Wars to be like, you know, a great, dark, strong action movie, science fiction movie, not just relying on all the conventions of Star Wars. Like, it's a great film. It's a great cliffhanger, all those things, how it sets it up. I thought it was really clever, good acting, good, you know, it was really well done.
And you have familiar faces show up. No spoilers, but there are familiar faces that show up in that in that movie, which was awesome. So
now I'm kind of on a roll here. So then also tied for, which I think is, I do think, wait a minute, I have them backwards here. Oh my God, my own rankings are wrong. I thought
he changed his mind.
I thought Revenge of the Sith, or I thought Rise of Skywalker is pretty strong also. Though the first 3 and the last 3 to me have a lot of weaknesses in the acting department, particularly the first 3 and the last 3. And there's great characters and good acting. And obviously the newer movies are better made, you know, with less, you know, it's less, you know, campy and like that. I mean, we're not talking original Dune movie ridiculous, but, you know, they don't have any of those conventions. But from here on down, the rest of them I'm not crazy about. Now, that's to say, I love the original 1, 2, and 3, you know, but do they stand the test of time? Not really for me.
The first 3 movies I actually have on VHS, the original theatrical releases. And it's fun to note that if you watch Star Wars, not A New Hope, that didn't come till later because it was just called Star Wars in theaters. The Emperor on that was played by a different guy at the time and had a weird prosthetics on his face, looked nothing like the Emperor we got. When it was released in theaters, they ended up changing what he looked like to the actor. It might have been the same actor, but I know he looked completely different. But they changed the way his face looks because they changed the way he looks for the next film. So that's a fun thing to note on.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. So, you know, what's interesting is I'm like, you know, I enjoy Star Wars as a kid. I didn't play with a lot of action figures. I've never been to a convention or stuff like that. It's more like the way I like books or like an author or something. And not to go off the thing was I ended up reading all the books afterwards, the now non-canon books, not because I would never consider myself some Star Wars nerd. Not that there's anything wrong with that, you know, being called that or anything like that. I was just, you know, continuing the story.
Yeah.
And having fun with it.
That's how it starts. You're like, I love the movies, and then you're like, I'm like hundreds of comic books deep. I don't know how this happened. What you have? What's the next one in your ranking now, or do you just have them all coupled together?
Well, then I go Solo, which I liked. So it was like tied for 4th, Rogue One, Mandalorian, Revenge of the Sith, and then Rise of Skywalker I liked because, you know, it ties it all together. Okay, wait. Now, wait a minute. Now I understand my own rankings. Okay. So at 4,
is that the order that they played them in? Is that what? That's
no,
right.
but Revenge of the Sith. I'll tell you what, because I did watch Revenge of the Sith again last night. And I'm so glad it came on. And while I think that movie has, Hayden Christensen, and I have nothing against him, and Natalie Portman is a great actress, but like the acting and the dialogue is just really poor, but there's moments, the tying up of that movie is so incredible. You already know what's going to happen. It's not a spoiler alert. Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. Everybody knows this. You know this before the movie. Yeah, you know this before the movie starts. Yet, in that moment, that scene at the end is so gripping. I remember watching it in the theater, and I watched it again last night. And it's just like that moment when they put the mask and the thing comes up, and that very first chills down my spine. And then he says, "Can you hear me?" "Yes, my master." I thought they should have kept it on his face. That could have been like 30-second scene, You're just like, oh my God, that's how he became Darth Vader. No fucking way. This is amazing. And then there was a sense of like loss when you're reading a good book and the book ends, like, you don't want it to end. You're like, no, I don't want this book to end. It was so much fun. And that was what I felt like in that movie. And that's why, despite the weaknesses of that film, why I have to put it at 4. In fact, now I'm deciding it's now officially number 4. Changing my rankings right here on the fly. Mandalorian and Rogue One are now tied for 5th.
Woo! We're making history here.
Yes, this is Star Wars history, folks. Get the chisel and put it in stone. What do you think? Okay.
You just have
all right. Cool man, I didn't know how serious I would get about this. Because it's funny, I was so cavalier on the couch last night. Like, you know what? I'll watch this. What the hell? And I'm like, oh, wow, I forgot that. Oh, really?
That was me on the week before May 5th. I watched every Star Wars film. I watched the shows. I'm like, I need to get caught up. Especially with Mandalorian season 2. At the time.
Good. Now wait, did they say there's going to be a season 3 of Mandalorian, or it's switching to the Boba Fett series, where they're both happening?
From my understanding, they're doing both. Because there's 3 Star Wars series they're working on right now, including Mandalorian.
And Obi-Wan. So it's Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, Mandalorian, and I forget what the third one is.
Boba Fett. There's the Boba Fett one coming.
There's Boba Fett. Isn't that a movie that they're doing, or is that a show?
You know what? I don't know.
I think they're doing a Boba Fett movie, and they're also doing what are they doing? They're doing one movie that takes place, I think, years before the original trilogy. It's going to be the first movie we get, like, way before the original trilogy.
When's that coming? That's like the Old Republic?
Not quite the Old Republic. It's after the Old Republic.
Okay.
But there is a rumor that there is going to be a Knights of the Old Republic movie coming to Disney Plus starring Keanu Reeves. So we might be getting Knights of the Old Republic as a canon thing now.
May the Force be with you, dude, always.
He's gonna come in like the guy from the Matrix or something, isn't he?
He's got his lightsaber. He's like,
yeah, or John Wick.
I'm sorry, but that'd be hilarious. Just have him dress up like he does in the Matrix. So since we are on the prequel trilogy a little bit, I would like to cover something because Star Wars enthusiasts are getting really angry at my name, I would assume.
Darth Jar Jar.
Darth Jar Jar. Do you think the prequel trilogy would have been better if they would have pulled that?
Jar Jar?
Darth Jar Jar.
Jar Jar doesn't bother me so much, you know? I mean, they were. It's so hard to make that movie because they're trying to be. They're trying to appeal to kids. I mean, I don't think he's the strongest character by any stretch. They're going so formula. It's the same with the later trilogy. They're trying to force in BB9, and then they make a droid sidekick every movie. That was the one thing in Rogue One. They have one guy, your typical sidekick droid. They definitely go formula on that stuff. So Jar Jar was like, supposed to be the cute sidekick. I don't know. I don't think it was worthy of all the furor.
From what I heard, though, George Lucas even said in interviews before the prequel trilogy came out that this is going to mirror the original trilogy, but it's going to be all the characters from the light side being the dark side, if that makes any sense. Like, you're going to have characters similar to the light side of the original trilogy. Jar Jar, in an interview before he even was announced as a character, George Lucas backstage, they were filming, and he said he's behind this all, or he's going to be a big picture to this. And he was supposed to be believed to be the dark side version of Yoda. He's going to be introduced as a bumbling idiot, and then here he's this all-powerful thing, which if you look at the trilogy, he still kind of was, because he's the one that gave Palpatine power by manipulating the Senate.
I love these conspiracy theories. Keep going.
He manipulated the Senate, and if you watch, there's YouTube videos I will send you of him using the Force in the first movie he was in, Phantom Menace. He was in it, and he was doing this in the background, and people were changing their thoughts, and like he was manipulating people and using the Force. And if you look at the way George Lucas did those films, all Jedis and all Siths and Darths and all of that fought using forms of martial arts. Jar Jar Binks was using Drunken Master, which means you make people think you're a bumbling idiot, but there's actually a controlled atmosphere, and you know exactly what you're doing, which makes you more dangerous, like Jackie Chan in the movie Drunken Master. And if you rewatch the movies, if he really is a bumbling idiot, he would have died during that huge fight scene. But no, he was doing the Matrix shit and like fighting people.
Now it's getting deep. He was Matrix. He's pulling the strings from the Matrix.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was meaning his fighting style, but yeah, he's in the Matrix. No,
we are opening up some possibilities here.
Another conspiracy theory is Jar Jar Binks could have been Darth Plagueis. Because Darth Plagueis could change form, he could escape death, he could manipulate midichlorians to create life. So he could have survived being killed by Palpatine and could have taken form as Jar Jar. Which is another crazy theory.
That one might be pushing it, but okay. But I like your creativity on that.
Right. But he could have also have known Darth Plagueis if he is a Sith Lord. Which makes me wonder, though, even if he isn't, what happened to him after those movies? Because it's never touched on. Like,
he's back on Naboo.
They need to make a Jar Jar Binks movie so we know what he's doing. They did the holiday special. Did you add that to your list?
Yeah, I just saw that on Disney Plus, the Lego holiday special.
Oh, not the Lego one, the live action.
Not the Lego one. Oh, the old school one with Luke Skywalker. Yeah,
that was awful. That's not canon, by the way, and neither is the Ewok movies.
But we got to talk about the books being non-canon. I think that's the biggest. That's my biggest complaint about Star Wars in general, man.
Yeah. Well, the thing is Lucasfilms, after they got bought out by Disney announced that those aren't canon anymore because George Lucas never intended them to be. Now that's where I have a problem, because George Lucas actively would tell comic book writers and comic book writers and book writers that you cannot write about this, and this until the movie comes out. Everything in the books and the comics have to match what's going on with the films. They can't overlay each other. Things can't contradict each other. And George Lucas had to personally approve every comic book and everything.
And they're officially licensed. I mean, once you're officially given the name, if they weren't allowed, they wouldn't have the name Star Wars on them. It's pretty much, to me, it's that simple. They were, and I think they were creatively done. There was a period of the books, for me, I thought they were really gripping. When the first ones came out with Admiral Thrawn Those were, those books in their own way were groundbreaking because that was the first time the universe was extended.
Yeah.
And for someone who was into Star Wars, it really allowed you to apply your own imagination again. So for something as powerful and as widely beloved as Star Wars was, that was such a crucial step and really proved to everybody, particularly George Lucas himself and their whole company, that, hey, there's more mileage here. And not just from a financial standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, that people still wanted more. And that was the first time. And as the books came, now the books did go downhill and started, again, being formulaic and being pretty, rushed out to market. Maybe there wasn't the quality control that it should have had there for a while. But then once that was regained with the new Jedi Order and the ones after that, these books were really good. They were, good science fiction, good writing from pro science fiction guys. And it was cool. It was cool stuff.
And what's shitty about it is now that the books aren't canon, that means Sith are no longer a species. Because they've never I don't think Disney's touched on that, because I haven't read anything since Disney took over. So
I haven't read any books either.
But
I'm done, man.
I think that was Disney's way of being lazy, though. They're like, we're just going to say this ain't real and just make up our own shit.
I mean, I can understand it from, and obviously I'm sure they did not do it, it wasn't on a whim that they did it. But it's more, it is done from a commerce standpoint than an art standpoint. I don't think people were taking into account the fans and how they did it. It was more like, okay, this allows us this reboot so we can do what we want moving forward. So I think there was, while I understand, hey, that's just the way it is in Hollywood, and Lucas sold it off, and Disney can do whatever the hell they want. It's a shame, I think, to waste all that interesting stuff, but they don't obviously don't care.
Disney is actually not saying that the books never happened, though. What they are saying is they are now called legends. That is myths of what happened, but it's not actually what happened. What they released further on down the road, or if they decide something's canon, then it becomes real. Like, it's kind of like somebody else is telling the story to somebody else, but that's not what happened, more than likely.
Gotcha.
The way that
it's this podcast, so someone can be like, Gorak was talking about, he knew so much about Star Wars and, about all his favorite Star Wars characters and stuff. That would just be a legend. That's Pink Sock Legends. That is not Pink Sock canon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think that.
That sounds like the story Grak's going to tell his workmates tomorrow.
Oh, you should have seen me, mate. You should have seen me talking about Star Wars. Eric and Mike, they were just mesmerized by my knowledge, mate.
Yeah.
Actually, I told a few guys at work yesterday and Saturday about this episode, and they're like Star Wars as well. They're like, I'm going to be tuning into this. I'm like, so nice. I hope they're watching this.
Oh no, we lost Princess Noami.
Yeah, she's having some buffering issues. She should be back shortly.
Buff it out.
Since I know we're talking about the books, but there is something that as Star Wars fans we do have to discuss, because it's hard to defend this as Star Wars fans. In the first movie, going way back to episode 4, we are introduced to, of course, Luke. Luke has to go save Princess Leia. At this time, they don't really know their connections, which is kind of weird because they bought the droids on a whim. How did he end up with the information for somebody who later on down the road, spoiler alert, he's actually related to? Well, he goes to save this princess. Now, the princess and him are kind of a thing.
Wait, are we talking about Princess Bride or Star Wars? Okay.
Princess Bride. Would you guys like a peanut? No. Princess Leia and
wait, they kissed? That is inconceivable.
Harrison Ford doesn't look too happy there.
Well, she kissed him to make Han Solo jealous because Han and her were a thing. Soap opera. That was an Empire. We later on find out, this ain't a spoiler alert because this is kind of hard. If you're not watching Star Wars already, you already know the biggest plot twist in cinema history. Darth Vader is Luke's father, which also means...
Wait a minute. Darth Vader is Luke's father?
Yeah.
No
Obi-Wan.
Wait a minute. I didn't see that. Wait a minute. I must have gotten popcorn during that scene.
Was you watching Spaceballs instead of Star Wars?
Oh, your helmet is so big. Found anything yet, sir? We ain't found shit.
For those who love Star Wars, Spaceballs is the best movie ever when it comes to parody.
Yeah.
How many assholes are on the ship? We're all assholes, sir.
I'm surrounded by assholes.
I'm a mom.
Spaceballs, the lunchbox.
Did you hear that they were wanting to make a second one, but for some reason it never happened? They were going to do the Schwartz Awakens.
Oh man, I'm all for it. Wait. I gotta program Kylie. May the Schwartz be with you.
That is awesome. The cool thing about Spaceballs though is that scene. I was always impressed because there's a scene where they put in the VHS tape for Spaceballs.
Yeah, I love that scene.
And it's all the previous scenes up to that point, and they're like, "The hell!" And then they turn around and they're looking into a camera.
Mel Brooks, for while being really unpolitically correct and bordering on a lot of racist bullshit in his previous films, but that was a different era. Spaceballs is genius, man. It is genius.
I still greet people on this.
But which leads me to what about the, there's two other parodies, I think both of which are awesome, is of course the Family Guy Star Wars parody and the Robot Chicken parody, which one of them, there's a scene in each of them that I absolutely love. My favorite one of the Family Guy is when they're sitting at the table and he says, this is the ultimate power in the universe. And he says, except for this little 2x2 hole, but we're going to cover this up. And then Stewie, as Darth Vader, goes, he goes, what do you mean, except for this little hole? He goes, it's this little hole. No one's gonna get it. And he says, how much will that cost? He goes, yeah, we'll get estimates. That scene is great. I love that, man.
That kind of reminds me of that scene from Austin Powers where he's like, all right, I'll close the doors while they die. And Scott's like, aren't you going to watch them die? Oh no, they will die. It's okay.
You shot me! You shot me!
Right in the leg!
If someone could come down and...
Will Ferrell was genius in that. Did you know that guy, that Chinese guy with the shoe?
Yeah.
He actually got arrested not long, I believe, a few years after that film was released for rape and all kinds of crazy shit.
Who throws a shoe? Really? That hurt. That really hurt.
and then Goldmember, who throws a cupcake? Really? But back on the kiss, because it's iconic, because due to Darth Vader telling Luke, I am your father, Obi-Wan didn't tell you the secret about your father, I am your father, which is crazy because he never says, Luke, I am your father. He just says, no, I'm your father. But Luke says no and let's go. Now, Luke knows he has a twin sister at this point. And he gets told that Princess Leia is his sister, which makes that kiss really weird now.
That's definitely, hands down, that is the biggest, error in the whole thing. That is definitely the strangest scene that's hard to reconcile. It's really hard to reconcile, this brother and sister kissing. There's no other way to put it.
As a Star Wars fan, I prefer, that's my Vietnam. I won't talk about it. I won't talk about the kids. No.
Some things you just have to suspend belief. The rest of it's so realistic. A futuristic society based on the Force with lightsabers. That stuff totally could happen. But the brother-sister kiss, sometimes you gotta let it go.
Yeah, you got it. No. And speaking of the original trilogy, since we're kind of talking about random crazy shit as Star Wars fans, there is one thing in some history, well, a lot of things in the Star Wars universe, I should say, but one thing that's been a big fight that they edited in the original trilogy was this particular scene when Han Solo met up with Greedo, and that was the first time.
Great dialogue there.
Yeah.
Solo.
But the big argument, and you probably know what I'm talking about. In the original trilogy, Han Solo, when he leaned back, pulled out his gun and shot Greedo. And when they re-released them, Greedo shot first and then Han shot back, which kind of changed the dialogue there because Han just shot him for no reason because he's a scavenger.
Yeah. Reminds me of that Motorhead song, Shoot 'Em in the Back.
It's probably about that.
Oh, UPS guy's at my door.
Do you have to go get that?
No. Leave it in the mailbox.
Does that
and leave a tip, please? Thank you.
Do they hear your voice, or is it like a...
Yeah, I got the camera with the thing in there.
That would freak me out if I hear a voice coming out of a mailbox.
Luke should have never kissed her. Thank you for the package.
Is he still there?
Yeah, he's standing there.
Well, that's
what?
Post-person.
No way. You like episode 1 the best. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Now, a lot of people that aren't Star Wars fanatics but kind of want to learn about the series, I'm going to kind of explain something. Because we have been talking about 4, 5, and 6, and then 1, 2, and 3. They were all released all fucked up. 4, 5, and 6 was released first, 1, 2, and 3, then 7, 8, 9, and then when Solo came out, it takes place sometime during, like, before the original trilogy. Like, it's all fucked up. So here's the best way to explain it. When Episode 4 was released, that was during the Battle of Yavin, when the first Death Star was destroyed. So when us Star Wars fans say BBY or ABY, that was before the Battle of Yavin or after, which makes it so much easier for those that aren't able to keep up.
Well, here's one. I was trying when I was numbering the movies. So when I first had Rogue One in there, since Revenge of the Sith is movie number 3 or episode 3. Star Wars is episode 4, and Rogue One takes place in between those. I was calling it 3.5, but then Solo also takes place in there, and that actually takes place before Rogue One. 3. So I was like, how do I number that? Should I call that 3.25? Or I decided to call Solo episode 3A. Rogue One, episode 3B, and then you can go to Star Wars episode 4.
And then if you wanted to add the Clone Wars, what would you put that as?
Well, that would be, that's a good question. Well, that would be, oh man, see that? It's a very good point. Then we have to change the whole thing. So then the Clone Wars would really be, maybe we'd go 3.1, and then Solo could be 3.2. And then Rogue One was actually be a little later. It would be more like 3.8, because that's pretty close to Star Wars.
What's really weird about Clone Wars is it depends on the season and stuff, because there are episodes that take place during Attack of the Clones. There's some episodes that take place way before, like during the Clone Wars when it first started. Like, it's hard to keep up with.
I tried to give that series a look, but I just couldn't. It just didn't attach to me. It was just too much.
Well, due to, since I'm going to help you kind of right now, because it's sometimes hard to watch because it's obviously put towards children, but there is a scene where Darth Bane is in it, which means that the Old Republic is canon because Disney still recognizes Clone Wars, but only Darth Bane is still canon.
Or as a character, he's canon, but not his story from the legend.
Exactly.
Which I've also read.
Darth Plagueis is also canon because he's mentioned in by Emperor Palpatine. And a buddy of mine, his nickname for Palpatine, and you'll probably laugh at this, is Pappy Dubstep.
Pappy Dubstep. Okay.
because he does the lightning and shit. Wow.
For me, I call him OJ. You know how you have a pet, and a pet's name, they always degrade down. It's like, the pet's name is, for example, Munchkin. And then it becomes Munchie, and then it's like Little Miss Munch, and then it's Missy, and then it keeps going down. Yeah, perfect example. So it was, it was Palpatine, then it was Pulpatine, then it was OJ extra pulp, and then he's just OJ, and then you're like, is it Palpatine? If the glove don't fit, you gotta quit. Just going down the.
So now Eric's rapping.
No pap. But yeah, the whole universe is nuts. We have incestual kisses, which, okay, there might be a little spoiler here because I got to talk about this real quick. Okay, if you don't want to hear the spoiler, just mute. And I will let you guys know when it's okay. Eric didn't even know Darth Vader was the father, so more you should have been there. But
thanks a lot for ruining it.
So in the movie, the more recent movies at the very end of the last one, which was Rise of Skywalker, Rey and Kylo Ren kiss. That's another ancestral kiss if you consider it canon, because Disney released a book before they even finished writing that movie of Palpatine behind Anakin's mom with his hand on her stomach saying unnatural, which is signifying that he is actually manipulating midichlorians to impregnate her to create Anakin, which means due to the relation between Rey and Kylo, they are technically cousins.
Whoa.
But Disney came out and said, that book's not canon. That book's they kind of shot themselves in the foot on that one.
Yeah, because I just watched that kiss a few hours ago on TV, and I remember when it happened. Well, just now I was watching. I'm like, wait a minute, do they kiss? Like, no way, they can't kiss again, right? Of course, I've seen the movie like 5 times. Yeah, I don't know why. I try to go in open-minded, like, well, maybe this time they don't kiss, but sure enough, they did. I wasn't crazy about that.
You think all the times George Lucas has edited that film and Lucasfilms has changed their films, they take that out?
Yeah, right. You never know. It's like a Mad Libs. It could change every time. Like TNT has their own ending. TBS has their own ending. HBO Max gets their own ending. Now you know what? Now there's an idea.
What makes us wonder, though, is now which movie is canon? Are the original movies canon, or is it just the shit they release now canon?
All right, I'd like to introduce a new segment to the podcast. Speed, who's our favorite characters? Who is our favorite character? Gorak, I'm going to start with you. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Darth Vader.
Noami.
I always like Princess Leia, and I like Rey as well.
Oh, strong female character. I like that. Mike?
If we are going canon, I will go with Darth Maul because he was very underrated, and if you actually follow his story, he's a fucking crazy guy. He shouldn't have died as quick as he did. Well, he didn't die, but we'll get into that later. How about you, Eric?
My favorite character, I got to go with the classic. Luke, baby. Luke Skywalker and the 2 Live Crew.
Is that your
Death Star can save the universe, break down the Death Star, save the universe, come in as a Force ghost and defeat the New Order, as well as have a top 40 rap single. Got to be your favorite.
Top 40 rap
Did you
single.
know? Here's a nice trivia for you. Did you know that Mark Hamill had no idea he was the main character until they started filming?
I did not know that. Like Renee, good choices. She likes Yoda and Chewbacca. You know,
Chewbacca. But
I think before we wrap, I think we each have to do our Chewbacca imitation.
we will. But the thing is, I'm very happy that nobody said Wookiee, not Wookiees, but nobody said the Sand Dude people. Nobody said droids. Nobody said. Because
You're not down with the sand people. I love it.
They're good, but they're not the best characters, though.
That's true.
They're not the best characters. The reason why I chose Darth Maul really has nothing to do with the prequel trilogy. If you watch Clone Wars, they touch on him a little bit more. He actually survived falling down the chute. They actually released several Darth Maul books that are now canon because they re-released them. Like, he's a great character if you really look into him.
That's how I give, like actually looking at the bottom of my rankings, it was hard between Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Force Awakens. Those are my least favorite. And I had to put the first trilogy a little higher just because of Darth Maul. Darth Maul alone carries some weight. With Force Awakens, there was no legitimate villain. You know, Snoke is whatever. Kylo Ren, human. There was no unknown villain there.
Yeah.
So Darth Maul pushes the original trilogy. So my worst of all the movies is The Force Awakens, the first of the third trilogy. Movie number 7, or episode 7, to me is the worst of all the Star Wars films.
What I really hated, I did kind of, I enjoyed that movie, but it's not my favorite out of the new trilogy. The one that I would rank as the worst of the new trilogy would be the second one they came out with.
Last Jedi?
Yeah, Last Jedi, because even Mark Hamill shit on this movie. One scene killed it for me. Luke Skywalker holding his lightsaber that he cherishes. He's a Jedi that loves anything Jedi. He will never disrespect the Jedi Order. Takes his lightsaber and fucking throws it.
Yes.
It was funny, but having Luke be a grumpy old man makes kind of sense. But no, that's not Luke's behavior. And they kind of changed that with Rise of Skywalker, if you noticed. That movie kind of saved what the last movie kind of tarnished.
Well, yeah, there's that big controversy how the final movie trashed some of the storyline where Rey's parents were unknown, and then they come back and they tell a new story. I mean, it's artistic license to say the least on behalf of Disney and stuff, and there's definitely big plot holes. To me, it was just I thought the acting in the first trilogy was much worse than in the final trilogy, but the final trilogy was just a little more hollow and they were reaching a little bit. And I don't hate the movie. I mean, even Force Awakens, I watched it early this morning, and I don't hate the movie. I'm just saying in relative to the other ones, like Empire Strikes Back and Force Awakens, Force Awakens is not even in the same league,
Well, the thing about the prequel trilogy and the new trilogy that does beat the original in is lightsaber battles. They are freaking intense and a lot better. In the original trilogy, they're slow, and in the prequels, they're just doing backflips and shit.
Yeah, when Yoda. In a way, that's actually a weakness. And some of the the technology is more advanced in the prequel, which is that's kind of a flaw. The ships are more powerful, the lightsaber battles, and there's so many holes when you really, really break it down. Again, you kind of have to, it's like watching the Star Wars. The Marvel shit. It's you really got to suspend belief. I mean, not to mention superheroes to begin with, but even we're already agreeing that there's superheroes and supervillains. You got to be all right, this is too much.
I get what you mean, because the advancements of technology between the prequels and the original doesn't make sense, because the prequels take place 20 to 30 years before.
Hence the term prequel.
and everything's advanced. Like, I totally get what you mean when it comes to that. But the lightsaber battles are more like badass because like they're now using the Force to do shit instead of like just fight with lightsabers. You know what I mean?
Well, that was the one thing I loved about the books is as Luke progressed, his Force powers, got really interesting in the books, and he was doing more acrobatic and useful stuff. But it was on a timeline, it was on a progression that, again, made sense, but was like, not such huge leaps or out of order. Like he was becoming he became a master, and as he became a grandmaster in these things, and as he discovered new things, they did it, for lack of a better word, tastefully in science fiction that I thought kept it really interesting. And if I could plug the books one more time, what was cool is the books, what made the books great was they were so dark. They were so super dark, and the villains super intense. Like they weren't for children anymore, that they were adult books. It was science fiction and adult books and darker themes, particularly death of main characters, that it became readable again. So instead of, you're just reading some Star Wars bullshit to pass the time, this is light stuff, lightsaber battle, okay, that was fun. Where it was like, okay, this is actually fairly interesting. This is like a little more classic, like Arthurian legend stuff that had a little more depth to it, a little more surprise, when a main character dies, it's, really shifts things. So that's why I like those so much.
Yeah, so if you don't watch the movies, just read the books. But back on the topic of Mark Hamill not knowing he was the main character, when he received the script after he got the role, he originally thought Han Solo was the main character. He got the script, and this is interesting to note, the original title of Star Wars was, I believe, The Tales of Luke Starkiller. His original last name was Starkiller, and they actually did an ode to that in a game, the Starkiller, and they named the Starkiller base. But Starkiller got changed because something historically happened in 1976, I believe, when they started getting ready to film. Charles Manson happened. And it would be kind of distasteful to have a character by the name of Starkiller when the Manson family killed a movie star. So they ended up postponing filming and changed his name to Luke Skywalker.
That's a good factoid. Plus, it brings up a good movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywoodland. Great. Now, there's a good film.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've seen that once or twice. I need to watch it.
I love it.
Yeah, it was a good film.
It's a great
You know what?
film.
No bullshit. I watched that on the flight home from Australia.
How good's the last 20 minutes of the movie?
Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers.
Fucking great.
Yeah, but great film. Great film.
Oh, the only spoiler I have is the movie takes place in Hollywood.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about the same movie?
This guy over here was ready to talk about Spaceballs.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Oh man, this is too good. I'll tell you what though, after today, I need a break from Star Wars. Well, it was interesting as I was thinking about this show, this podcast. I hadn't watched the films in so long, and it's like a favorite album. Like one of my favorite albums of all time, one of my favorite bands, The Cult. I try not to listen to the album too much as not to ruin it, so it keeps it fresh for me, particularly the album Love. It's such a great record. And I'm glad that, particularly with Rise of Skywalker, I watched last night. So I was like, okay, this was pretty interesting. And Revenge of the Sith, if we would have come on this show before yesterday, I would have totally trashed that movie. But then once I saw it again, and that final scene where he truly becomes Darth Vader, I was reminded of that moment. I was reminded of that moment in the movie theater being like, oh my God, he's fucking Darth Vader.
Did you watch the one? Did you watch the one where he did the huge loud no Or was that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
edited that out? Okay.
Yeah.
Because they edited that out on a few releases.
No way. That's so great.
Well, I don't know if they edited it out, but they shortened it, so it's not like comical for like a minute.
Well, plus, you know what? I hadn't noticed the first time, which was so obvious when I watched it last night. The obvious parallels to Frankenstein. You know, he comes off, he breaks the thing, and he takes that clunky step, and it's like, you know, the whole, you know, man-made thing. I was like, okay.
Now, one thing a lot of fans don't like, though, and I understand, when the prequels came out, they re-released the original trilogy, and there's one scene that upset a lot of people. At the very end of the movie, they had all the Force ghosts. After Darth died and everything, they had all the Force ghosts. The original release had Anakin played by the guy that played Darth Vader in that movie.
Yes.
And the re-release, they replaced him with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
I do too, because the guy, it makes no sense because he died in that form. When you become a Force ghost, you stay in your last form. Or your best form, as they would say. And that actor has a legacy too, and the only way that we remember him now in that movie is when he takes the mask off.
Yeah.
Like, what the, like, why would you change him like it?
Yeah, I agree, man. You know what? I'm never watching again. Throwing out all my action figures right now.
Boycott Star Wars.
Actually, that's not true. I don't have any action figures. Actually, I have one Darth Vader here in the studio, but he's missing. I thought about that. Oh wait, there he is. He's right over there on the shelf, right where he was.
But
so strange.
With the Mandalorian random take that I had that was great is there is a scene with Brian Posehn. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a famous comedian who loves Star Wars, but he's shit on anything after the original trilogy. He said it all sucks. And they casted him in that movie, and then he died like that. He died quick.
That's funny. Well, I'll tell you what, gentlemen and lady, I have to wrap up. I could talk about Star Wars for days, but I think we've covered the point. I didn't even know how much I could talk about Star Wars, but I had a feeling it would be a lot. I had a feeling. But I did have fun watching again last night. It gave me some purpose in watching it.
Right? Now you're gonna watch all the shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the new Lego Christmas special, holiday special.
That's not canon, by the way.
Not canon. Forget it. Sorry.
So, did you want to do another?
Actually, every time you say not canon, I should do this.
Should we do another movie episode?
Got a lightsaber.
Oh, now that was a nice save till the end there. Look at that. Just when you thought there was no surprises.
Look at that. Is that two different colors?
Oh.
Yeah. You can have Rabbit, Darth Vader, or Luke Skywalker.
Wow, your lightsaber goes both ways. That's cool.
Yeah, another one back there. They belong to me kids.
Nice.
You know what was never explained before we completely wrap this up is there is a scene in one of the movies, this is driving me nuts, where Rey puts her hand on the lightsaber and she has all these flashbacks and shit. It's never explained why that happened because she's no relation to anyone in that fucking flashback. No relation.
Those memories are in the lightsaber. Come on, that's you know, she's an empath. She's like, I'll tell you what, maybe our next episode, you know, I would be up for an Arnold special episode where we review the great career of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I was
Predator.
That would be cool.
Twins.
Oh, I love it. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor.
The latest Terminator movie, that was shit.
They're all so good. But I had such a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the podcast again. It was a pleasure. Noami, Gorak, Mike, thanks for having me. And to let me share my opinions on Star Wars, man. You guys really must be starved for content.
No, I just love Star Wars. But it was nice talking to you, Eric. We should do this again sometime with another movie. Maybe one that has less of a universe than this one. Or the amazing career of Arnold.
Maybe just Terminator. Yeah, maybe all Arnold movies is dangerous. Maybe we got to limit it to Terminator.
We might have.
Yeah, maybe we should do all the Terminator movies.
Yeah, okay, that's an idea.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk offline about that.
Okay. It was nice talking
All
to
right,
Eric.
great to see everybody who watched too online. Everybody, thank you so much, guys.
Peace.
This
And
is
remember,
Eric13 signing off.
live long, rock hard.
Yeah.
Live long, prosper.
Ciao.
Wait, wrong movie.